The command bridge of the Galactic Council's flagship, Zenith Prime, fell silent as the impossible readings flickered across their quantum displays. Admiral Vextar's 4 eyes widened in disbelief, her crystalline features reflecting the pulsing, red warnings that bathed the bridge in an ominous glow. "Run the scan again," she commanded, her voice barely above a whisper. The bridge crew of various alien species, tall, elegant Altarians with their flowing tentacles, stocky Corvan engineers with their metallic exoskeletons, and ethereal luminary beings of pure energy, all turned their attention to the massive, holographic display at the center of the command deck. Lieutenant Zeph, a young Altarian whose purple skin had gone pale with shock, manipulated the controls with trembling tentacles. "Admiral, the readings they're confirmed. The energy signature is unlike anything in our databases. It's not Crithian. It's not void spawn. It's something entirely new." Admiral Vextar stepped closer to the hologram, her breath forming small crystals in the recycled air as her homeworld biology reacted to stress. The display showed a massive object drifting through the neutral zone, a region of space that had remained contested between the Galactic Council and the dreaded Crithian Empire for over 3 centuries. "Size estimate?" she asked, though she already suspected the answer would shake her to her core. 12 kilometers long, Admiral, 4 kilometers wide. The hull composition is unprecedented. Dense metals we've never encountered, arranged in patterns that suggest advanced geometric engineering far beyond current Council or Crethian capabilities. Chief Engineer Thox, a gruff Corvan whose mechanical voice box crackled with age, stepped forward. His heavy footsteps echoed through the bridge as his red optical sensors focused on the display. "Admiral, if I may, the power readings coming from that vessel, they're off our scales. Whatever's powering that thing, it's generating more energy than our entire fleet combined." The bridge fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems and the soft chirping of monitoring equipment. Admiral Vextar had served in the Galactic Council Navy for 47 standard years. She had seen the rise and fall of civilizations, witnessed the brutal efficiency of Crithian war machines, and commanded fleets in battles that decided the fate of entire star systems. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared her for this moment. "Admiral," Lieutenant Zeph's voice cut through her thoughts, "we're receiving a transmission." "From the vessel?" "No, ma'am. From the Outer Rim. It's a Crithian battle fleet. They're moving toward the object at maximum speed." Admiral Vextar's blood ran cold. The Crithians were a warrior race that had conquered half the known galaxy through brutal efficiency and technological superiority. Their ships were nightmares of black metal and devastating weaponry, crewed by beings who knew only conquest and destruction. If they were moving toward this mysterious vessel, it could only mean one thing. "They want to claim it," she muttered, her mind racing through tactical possibilities. "Set course for the neutral zone. Maximum warp. Send word to the Council. We cannot allow the Crithians to acquire whatever technology that ship represents." "Admiral," Chief Thox's mechanical voice carried a note of concern that surprised everyone present. "Perhaps we should consider the possibility that this vessel belongs to whoever built it. And if they built something that advanced, then they might not appreciate visitors," Admiral Vextar finished grimly. "Noted, Chief, but the alternative is letting the Crithians get their claws on it first, and that's not an option." As the Zenith Prime and her escort fleet engaged their warp drives, racing toward an encounter that would reshape the galaxy, none of them could have imagined the truth about the mysterious vessel. Deep within its corridors, systems that had been dormant for months were beginning to stir. Ancient Earth technologies forged in the fires of humanity's first desperate journey to the stars were awakening, and Captain Sarah Chen was about to discover that first contact wouldn't be quite what anyone expected. Chapter 2. Awakening the Leviathan Captain. Sarah Chen jerked awake in her cryopod as emergency klaxons blared throughout the UES Defiance. The metallic taste of cryofluid filled her mouth as she struggled to orient herself, her enhanced neural implants slowly synchronizing with the ship's AI systems. Red emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across the cryobay, and she could see her crew members beginning to stir in their own pods. "Area, report," she commanded, her voice hoarse from months in suspended animation. The ship's artificial reality intelligence assistant materialized as a shimmering hologram beside her pod, its form that of a middle-aged woman in a crisp naval uniform. "Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching our position. 2 distinct fleets, both displaying advanced technology signatures. Estimated time to intercept, 4 hours, 17 minutes. Sarah pulled herself from the pod, her enhanced physiology quickly adjusting to the ship's artificial gravity. At EM-34, she was young for a battleship captain, but the desperate circumstances of humanity's exodus from Earth had accelerated many careers. Her cybernetic left arm, a replacement from the Battle of Luna, interfaced seamlessly with the ship's systems as she accessed tactical data. "Wake the senior staff. All hands to battle stations," she ordered, pulling on her uniform with practiced efficiency. "And area, what's our weapons status?" "All systems operational, Captain. The Defiance is running at 97% combat efficiency. However, I should note that our opponents appear to possess technologies we haven't encountered." "Before?" Sarah paused, her hand hovering over the hatch control. "Explain." "Energy signatures suggest faster-than-light communication, artificial gravity manipulation, and directed energy weapons of unknown configuration. Captain, these may be the first alien civilizations we've encountered." The weight of that statement settled on Sarah's shoulders like a lead blanket. Humanity had launched their colony ships in 2157, fleeing a dying Earth ravaged by climate collapse and resource wars. The Defiance and her sister ships were humanity's greatest achievement. Massive vessels designed not just for colonization, but for survival in a hostile universe. They had expected to find empty worlds to terraform, not advanced alien civilizations, locked in their own conflicts. Commander Marcus Webb, her executive officer, stumbled into the corridor as she made her way to the bridge. His scarred face, a memento from the corporate wars, was grim as he fell into step beside her. "Captain, sensors are showing 2 fleets converging on our position. The smaller one has 15 vessels, all approximately 2 kilometers in length. The larger fleet..." He paused, consulting his tablet. 37 ships, Captain. Some of them are massive, 5 kilometers or more. "Any attempts at communication?" "None that we can detect. But Arya's analyzing their transmissions. They're definitely talking to each other." The bridge of the Defiance was a testament to human engineering and desperation. Massive holographic displays showed tactical data, while crew members at various stations coordinated the awakening of the ship's full complement of 12,000 personnel. The bridge itself was a tiered amphitheater, with the captain's chair at the center, surrounded by stations for navigation, weapons, communications, and engineering. Lieutenant Commander Elena Vasquez, the ship's chief tactical officer, looked up from her console as Sarah approached. Her enhanced eyes, modified for combat targeting, glowed faintly blue in the dim lighting. "Captain, you need to see this. The approaching fleets. They're not here for us. They're here because of us." Sarah settled into her command chair, the neural interface crown descending to link her consciousness directly with the ship's systems. Suddenly, she could feel the defiance around her. Every system, every weapon, every heartbeat of her crew. It was a sensation that never failed to amaze her, this symbiosis between human consciousness and machine capability. "Explain, Commander." "Their communications suggest they're both trying to claim us, Captain. They see the Defiance as some kind of prize. From what Arya can translate, they're calling us the impossible ship and the ancient vessel." "Ancient?" Sarah frowned. "We've only been in space for 8 months. Chief Engineer David Park's voice crackled over the intercom from the engine room. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from both fleets. Whatever their weapons technology is, it's beyond anything in our databases. But..." He paused, and Sarah could almost hear him grinning. "They might be in for a surprise. The Defiance wasn't built to run from fights." Sarah smiled grimly. "The Defiance was indeed built for war. Humanity's engineers had learned hard lessons from centuries of conflict, and they had poured that knowledge into their colony ships. Railguns that could punch through asteroid belts, fusion missiles that burned like miniature suns, point defense, systems that could track and destroy thousands of targets simultaneously, and at the ship's heart, the most advanced AI system humanity had ever created, capable of coordinating weapons and defenses with inhuman precision. Area. Open a channel on all frequencies. Let's see if we can talk our way out of this. Channel. Open, Captain. Sarah took a deep breath, knowing that her next words might determine the fate of not just her ship, but possibly all of humanity's future among the stars. Unknown vessels, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Defiance. We are explorers from the planet Earth, seeking new worlds for peaceful colonization. We have no hostile intentions and request safe passage through your space. The response came almost immediately, but not in words. Both alien fleets suddenly accelerated toward their position, their formation patterns shifting to what were unmistakably attack formations. Commander Webb's voice was steady, despite the circumstances. Well, Captain, it seems talking isn't going to work. Sarah's neural link pulsed with information as the ship's combat systems came online. Weapons charged, shields energized, and the Defiance was prepared for the battle that would introduce humanity to a galaxy already at war. All hands, this is the captain, she announced over the ship's intercom. We're about to face the first interstellar conflict in human history. Today, we show them what humans do when backed into a corner. All stations, prepare for combat. As the distance between the fleets closed, none of the aliens could have imagined that they were about to witness the combat doctrine that had emerged from humanity's bloodiest conflicts. Total war, waged with ruthless efficiency and desperate creativity. The galaxy was about to meet humanity, and humanity was not in a mood to surrender. Chapter 3. The Dance of War. Admiral Vextar watched in fascination and growing dread as the mysterious vessel began to move. What had appeared to be a dormant derelict was suddenly blazing with energy signatures that made her ship's sensors scream warnings. By the 7 moons, Lieutenant Zeph breathed, his tentacles writhing in agitation. Admiral, that ship, it's powering weapon systems we can't even classify. The tactical display showed the Defiance rotating slowly, bringing previously hidden weapon ports to bear on both approaching fleets. But more disturbing than the weapons were the movement patterns. Most ships in the galaxy moved with predictable grace, following established tactical doctrines developed over millennia of warfare. This vessel moved like a predator. Admiral, Chief Thox's mechanical voice carried a note of professional respect. Their maneuvering is artistic. Look at those thrust patterns. They're not just positioning for defense, they're creating overlapping fields of fire while maintaining escape vectors. Whoever designed their combat doctrine understood warfare, at a level I've rarely seen. On the far side of their formation, the Crithian fleet was deploying in their traditional battle formation, a massive wedge designed to concentrate their firepower and break through enemy lines through sheer brutal force. Admiral Vextar had seen that formation crush countless civilizations, but something about the mysterious ship's positioning suggested its captain had seen it too. Admiral, Lieutenant Zeph reported. The vessel is transmitting again. Same language as before, but Area is making progress with translation. Put it through. Captain Chen's voice filled the bridge, carrying an authority that transcended species. Barriers. Unknown fleets, you are approaching a United Earth vessel. This is your final warning. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves. Admiral Vextar found herself impressed despite the circumstances. Facing 2 superior fleets, the captain of the mysterious vessel still projected strength rather than fear. Can we respond? Negative, Admiral. We haven't cracked their communication protocols yet. The Crithian fleet, however, had no interest in communication. Their lead dreadnought, the Death Shadow, launched the first salvo, a barrage of plasma torpedoes that lit up space like falling stars. What happened next would be analyzed in military academies across the galaxy for generations to come. The Defiance didn't dodge the incoming fire. Instead, it accelerated directly toward the plasma torpedoes, its point defense systems creating a web of destruction that intercepted every single projectile with inhuman precision. But that was just the beginning. As the Crithian weapons detonated, harmlessly against the ship's defensive fire, the Defiance unleashed its own response. Rails guns that had been designed to move asteroid-sized masses fired projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The kinetic energy released when those projectiles struck the Crithian shields was beyond anything in the galactic databases. The lead Crithian cruiser simply disintegrated. Impossible, Admiral Vextar whispered. The energy requirements alone. But the human ship wasn't finished. It launched what appeared to be missiles, but as they approached their targets, they separated into dozens of smaller projectiles, each one guided by its own miniature AI. The Crithian point defenses, designed to handle single large threats, were overwhelmed by the swarm of smaller weapons. 3 more Crithian ships erupted in flames. Commander Korth, the Crithian fleet leader, was not easily intimidated. He had conquered 12 star systems and reduced entire species to slavery. But, as he watched 4 of his ships destroyed in the opening moments of battle, he felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. "All ships concentrate fire on the alien vessel," he commanded, his reptilian features twisted with rage. "I want that ship reduced to atoms." The entire Crithian fleet opened fire simultaneously, creating a storm of energy that should have vaporized any vessel in known space. But the Defiance had one more surprise. Captain Chen's neural link pulsed with information as her ship's revolutionary shielding system activated. Instead of trying to absorb or deflect the incoming energy, the shields channeled it, routing the destructive force through superconducting networks and feeding it directly into the ship's own weapon systems. The aliens were, quite literally, charging the human ship's guns. "Arya, return fire. Full spread. Show them what a real warship looks like." What followed could only be described as a massacre disguised as a battle. The Defiance unleashed weapons that violated every principle of galactic warfare. Fusion warheads that created temporary stars, antimatter containment breaches that tore holes in space-time itself. And through it all, the ship moved with a deadly grace that spoke of combat experience earned through humanity's bloodiest conflicts. Admiral Vexitar found herself caught between horror and admiration as she watched the Crithian fleet. The same force that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, being systematically dismantled by a single ship. "Admiral," Lieutenant Zeph's voice was barely audible. "What should we do?" Before she could answer, the Defiance suddenly changed course, accelerating toward the Council fleet. But instead of weapons fire, they received something far more shocking: a communication in perfect galactic standard. "Council vessel, this is Captain Chen. We have neutralized the hostile fleet. We request parley. We have much to discuss." Admiral Vextar stared at the tactical display, where the burning remains of 37 Crithian warships drifted in the void. A single human ship had accomplished what the entire Galactic Council fleet couldn't have managed with twice as many vessels. "Lieutenant, open a channel, and someone get me everything we can find about these humans." As the 2 fleets moved toward their formal first contact, none of them realized that the galaxy's balance of power had just shifted permanently. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and they had announced their presence with a demonstration of military capability that would echo across space for millennia to come. But Captain Chen's real surprise was yet to come. As the Defiance approached the Council fleet, her ship's long-range sensors detected something that made her blood run cold. The battle they had just fought wasn't an isolated incident. It was the opening move in a war that would determine the fate of every sentient species in the galaxy, and humanity, whether they wanted it or not, had just become the galaxy's newest major power. Chapter 4. The Price of Power. The conference room aboard the Zenith Prime had been hastily reconfigured to accommodate the historic first meeting between humanity and the Galactic Council. Admiral Vextar found herself studying the 3 humans who had shuttled over from their impossible warship, trying to reconcile what she was seeing. with what she had just witnessed. Captain Sarah Chen sat across from her, flanked by Commander Webb and Chief Engineer Park. To Vextar's crystalline senses, the humans appeared almost mundane, bipedal, carbon-based, with none of the obvious technological integrations that marked most advanced species. Yet something in their bearing, the way they moved and observed their surroundings, suggested a predatory awareness that made her uncomfortable. "Captain Chen," Admiral Vextar began, her words translated by the ship's universal communication system. "I must confess your arrival has raised more questions than it has answered. Your ship's capabilities are unprecedented." Sarah leaned forward slightly, her cybernetic arm resting on the table's polished surface. "Admiral, we appreciate your hospitality. But before we discuss our capabilities, we need to understand the situation we've stumbled into. That fleet we destroyed, they weren't explorers or traders, were they?" Chief Diplomatic Officer Ren Tai, an ethereal luminary whose energy form flickered with emotional colors, spoke up. "The Crithians were, one of the most aggressive military powers in this sector. They have conquered dozens of systems, enslaved entire species. Your decisive action has likely saved countless lives." "Decisive action," Commander Webb repeated dryly. "Is that what we're calling it?" The tension in the room was palpable. Admiral Vextar could sense that these humans were still assessing the situation, still deciding whether the Council represented friends or simply different flavors of enemies. "Captain," she said carefully, "perhaps you could help us understand. Your ship's technology appears to be both primitive and incredibly advanced. Your hull construction suggests metallic alloys we've never encountered, yet your weapons systems operate on principles that our scientists are struggling to comprehend." David Park, the chief engineer, exchanged a glance with his captain before speaking. "Admiral, humanity developed our technology through difficult circumstances. We didn't have the luxury of gradual advancement or peaceful exploration. Every system on the Defiance was designed with one primary consideration: survival." "Survival against what?" Ren Tai asked, her energy form shifting to curious yellow patterns. Sarah was quiet for a long moment, her enhanced eyes reflecting the meeting room's lights. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of tragedy. "Against ourselves initially, then against a dying world, and finally, against the possibility that we might be alone in an empty universe." She activated a holographic projector, filling the space above the table with images that made the alien delegates recoil. Devastated cities, polluted oceans, massive ships launching from a scarred world under stormy, toxic skies. Earth was dying, Sarah continued. Climate collapse, resource depletion, and 50 years of what we called the corporate wars. Humanity built colony ships not to explore, but to escape extinction. Every weapon, every defense system, every piece of technology was developed under the assumption that we might face threats we couldn't imagine. Admiral Vextar studied the images with growing understanding. "You built warships disguised as colony vessels." "We built survival machines," Sarah corrected. "The Defiance carries 12,000 colonists, complete terraforming equipment, genetic banks, and industrial fabrication systems. But yes, we also armed her with everything we'd learned from 3 centuries of human warfare." The implications were staggering. Chief Science Officer Zeph, the young Altarian, leaned forward with obvious excitement. "Captain, your ship's AI system, it coordinated defensive and offensive operations with precision beyond our most advanced computers. How is that possible?" Chief Engineer Park smiled grimly. "Aria isn't just an AI. She's a hybrid consciousness, part human neural patterns, part quantum processing matrix. She thinks like a human, but processes information like a machine. In combat, she literally becomes one with the ship and crew." As if summoned by the mention of her name, Aria's holographic form materialized in the corner of the room. The alien delegates started at the appearance of the shimmering figure, but Aria merely nodded politely. "Captain," Aria said, "I've completed my analysis of the local communication networks. I have significant information to share regarding the galactic situation. Admiral Vextar felt a chill run through her crystalline structure. Analysis of our networks? How did you? I apologize for the intrusion, Arya replied smoothly. But Captain Chen's primary directive is the safety of humanity's colony mission. I needed to assess potential threats and opportunities. The room fell silent. The implications were clear. While they had been talking, the human AI had been systematically penetrating and analyzing the most secure communication networks in Council space. Commander Webb's scarred face showed no emotion as he spoke. Arya, give us the summary. The galactic situation is more complex than initially apparent, Arya began, her form flickering as she processed vast amounts of data. The Galactic Council represents approximately 47% of inhabited systems in this region. The Crithian Empire controlled approximately 31% before today's engagement. However, there are at least 12 other significant powers, including several that appear to be actively hostile to both the Council and the Crithians. Admiral Vextar's four eyes widened. 12 other powers? That's impossible. Our intelligence, networks, are approximately 47 years out of date regarding the Outer Rim territories, Arya continued matter-of-factly. There have been significant political realignments, technological developments, and territorial expansions that suggest this region of space is experiencing rapid destabilization. Sarah stood, pacing to the conference room's viewport where the Defiance hung in space like a metallic mountain. Arya, bottom-line assessment. What are humanity's options for establishing peaceful colonies in this region? Captain, based on current analysis, the probability of establishing peaceful colonies without military protection is less than 12%. This region appears to be entering a period of large-scale conflict. Multiple powers are mobilizing fleets. Territories are being contested, and there are indications of technological arms races across several fronts. The alien delegates absorbed this information with growing alarm. Admiral Vextar spoke first. Captain Chen, the Galactic Council would be honored to welcome humanity as members. We can offer protection, trade agreements, and assistance with colonization efforts. In exchange for? Sarah asked pointedly. Military alliance, Rentai answered. Honestly, her energy form shifting to diplomatic blue patterns. Captain, what we witnessed today, a single human vessel destroying an entire Crithian fleet, that level of military capability could change the balance of power in this entire sector. Sarah turned back to face the group, her expression thoughtful. And if we refuse? The question hung in the air like a threat. Admiral Vexitar realized she was looking at a pivotal moment in galactic history. The humans clearly possessed military technology beyond anything currently deployed, but they were also newcomers with only a single ship. They needed allies, but they were also in a position to dictate terms. Captain, Admiral Vextar said carefully, perhaps we could arrange for your ship to visit Council Central Command. You could meet with our leadership, see our territories, and make an informed decision about humanity's future in this region. Sarah exchanged glances with her officers. Commander Webb nodded slightly, while Chief Park looked concerned. After a moment, she turned back to the Admiral. We'll consider it, but Admiral, understand this. Humanity didn't survive the destruction of our homeworld just to become someone else's weapon. If we join any alliance, it will be as equals, not as subordinates. As the meeting concluded, and the humans prepared to return to their ship, Admiral Vextar found herself both hopeful and terrified. The humans represented exactly the kind of military power the Council needed to survive in an increasingly dangerous galaxy. But they also represented something more, a reminder that the universe still held surprises, and that the most dangerous civilizations were often those with nothing left to lose. As the human shuttle departed, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy had just become a much more complicated place. Epilogue. The New Dawn. 3 months after first contact, the political landscape of the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station, the Galactic Council's newest diplomatic facility, watching as human colony ships emerged from hyperspace jumps in the Kepler 442 system. The negotiations had been complex, sometimes heated, but ultimately successful. Humanity had been granted colony rights to 3 uninhabited systems in exchange for a limited military alliance with the Galactic Council. The Defiance and her sister ships would provide protection for Council shipping lanes, while human technology specialists would work with Council scientists to develop new defensive capabilities. It wasn't the simple colonization mission they had originally planned, but it was survival. And in the harsh mathematics of galactic politics, that was often the best outcome available. Captain? Commander Webb approached, carrying a datapad filled with reports from the colony worlds. The terraforming operations on Kepler 442b are ahead of schedule. Chief Park says the atmospheric processors are working better than expected. Sarah nodded, though her attention was focused on the tactical displays visible through the station's transparency. The galaxy was still far from peaceful. The destruction of the Crithian fleet had created a power vacuum that various other species were rushing to fill. Border conflicts were erupting across multiple sectors, and intelligence reports suggested that some of the unknown powers Area had identified were beginning to probe human territory. "Any word from the Arcturus expedition?" she asked. Captain Martinez reports successful establishment of the mining colonies. The asteroid belt survey turned up some interesting mineral compositions, including several elements that don't appear in standard galactic databases. Sarah smiled. Humanity's talent for finding unusual solutions was already paying dividends. Several human innovations, from their AI integration techniques to their approach to kinetic weapons, were being adopted by Council forces. In return, the Council had shared advanced propulsion technologies and energy management systems that would significantly improve humanity's expansion capabilities. "Captain?" Area's voice spoke from the station's communication system. "Incoming priority transmission from Earth." Sarah's expression grew serious. Communication with Earth, now nearly 2 years' travel time away, was sporadic and difficult. Each message carried the weight of an entire world's hopes and fears. "Put it through, Aria." The holographic display flickered to life, showing the weathered face of Admiral Harrison, the man who had commanded humanity's Exodus fleet. Behind him, Sarah could see the familiar corridors of Earth Defense Command, though the light seemed dimmer than she remembered. "Sarah, congratulations on the successful negotiations. The Council's technical data packages arrived last month, and our scientists are very excited about the possibilities. We're beginning construction on the next wave of colony ships using hybrid human Council technologies." He paused, and Sarah could see the weight of leadership in his eyes. "But I need to warn you about something we've discovered. Long-range sensors have detected artificial structures at the edge of our solar system. We're not alone in our local space, and whatever's out there has been watching us for some time." The transmission ended, leaving Sarah staring at the empty holographic display. She had known this moment would come, the realization that humanity's story among the stars was just beginning, and that their challenges would only grow more complex. "Captain?" Commander Webb's voice carried concern. "Orders?" Sarah turned back to the observation deck's viewport, where the lights of human colonies twinkled like new stars in the darkness. Somewhere out there, unknown civilizations were making their own plans. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of surprises, but humanity had survived the death of their homeworld. They had fought their way to the stars and carved out a place among advanced alien civilizations. Whatever came next, they would face it with the same combination of desperate ingenuity and stubborn determination that had brought them this far. "Prep the Defiance for departure," she ordered. "We're going home. It looks like Earth has some new neighbors, and it's time for formal introductions." As the massive human battleship began its preparations for the long journey back toward Sol, Admiral Vextar watched from the bridge of the Zenith Prime. The humans had proven to be valuable allies, but she couldn't shake the feeling that their arrival had set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy in ways none of them could predict. The age of human expansion had begun, and the universe would never be the same. Behind them, in the depths of space where the Crithian fleet had met its end, Automated salvage drones worked to recover valuable technology and resources. But they missed something important: a single Crithian escape pod, its occupant in emergency stasis, carrying detailed recordings of the human ship's capabilities. In the far reaches of Crithian space, old enemies were already planning their response to humanity's dramatic entrance onto the galactic stage. The war for the stars was far from over. It was just beginning.